What is it with the walnuts? Walnuts. It's like a restaurant for squirrels. Problemista comes to us from A24 and writer, producer, director, and star Julio Torres, who's done some work on SNL. Check out his IMDb page for the full list of his work, and that's a lot of hats to wear on just one set. I mean, that's enough hats to give you so many neck cramps that you need a neck pillow, not just when you're on the plane, but when you're on a train, and then you meet a stranger on the train, and he makes a deal with you and thinks, yes, I'll murder somebody, and then you murder somebody for me, and Cassio, Bluto. Strangers do not meet on a train in this particular movie. There's a bit of a gondola ride. That's really about it. But nevertheless, no man named Bruno. More in the pity. But we do have Julio Torres playing Alejandro, not Estrada, not Samoa. No cigar breaking, no Samoan submission bulldozer. Umaga. Deep cut for wrestling fans. I don't think anybody watching this particular review will get that. But nevertheless, rest in peace, Umaga. So, he plays Alejandro, who grew up in El Salvador, along with his very, very artistic mother, who wanted to create a safe world for him. She was very good at designing stuff, and even though they didn't have a lot, she worked hard, and they were living an idealistic lifestyle, but Alejandro had big dreams. He's also known as Ali for short. That's A-L-E, not A-L-L-Y. That would be a very weird way of saying Alejandro for short. And he decides to move to New York City to achieve his big dreams. He wants to work for Hasbro, and, get Sergeant Slaughter back on board as G.I. Joe. No, that's not how that works. But nevertheless, he wants to work for a toy-making company. He has great ideas on how to create unique toys, has some great ideas, and sends them in videos. Is really trying to apply and just make it work. He's trying to achieve the American dream, and he takes on whatever job he can. He took on a job at a place called Freeze Corp that, puts people in cryo sleep, and after a mix-up, he ends up not having a job, and now he must find somebody who's willing to sponsor him so he can keep his work visa, he can achieve his dream, not as hard as it may seem, except it really goddamn is, and the only person that seemingly will help him is the wife of somebody whose husband is in that cryo sleep chamber, at least one of them. We don't see too many cryo sleep chambers, but we see at least one, and that is, Bobby, RZA, assuming that's how you actually say it. I assume he's a rapper. I don't really know. And Tilda Swinton plays Elizabeth. I want to say right now, I adore Tilda Swinton. She is absolutely fucking tremendous. I mean, whether you ask her to be in a deeply, deeply ridiculous Karenist of Karen roles like this, where she is just viciously just attacking customer service people with fervor and insanity because she's not getting her way. And yeah, her husband's in cryosleep and all this weird stuff's going on, but it's also about Alejandro, or Ali, who just is trying to work his way through the legal system and earn money and just continue to earn money. And he keeps getting kicked down, but he gets back up again. Ain't nothing going to keep him down, but he only has a month to get, somebody to sponsor him, or otherwise he's going to be kicked back to El Salvador, because the way people become U.S. citizens here is not really all that easy, because we have a bit of a bullshit vetting process. We really should try to help people that really want to live here and really want to, make ends meet and help out and contribute to society. Just saying that right there. So it deals with social commentary of immigration status. It also deals with dark comedic elements, the lengths people are willing to go to achieve their dreams. And also Tilda Swinton chewing so much goddamn scenery she could have chewed through 5 brick walls. And I mean that with respect, because Tilda Swinton is fucking incredible in this. And Julio Torres. Now, you see somebody, writer, producer, director, and star, and I've seen some indie films where people do that, and it doesn't work. Julio Torres, while I'm not that familiar with his work, he was fucking phenomenal in this as Ali, because he had to achieve a balance of having patience and also just having this desperation on his face where life kept kicking him down, but he was just bound and determined to make it work. And the great thing about this is, one, A24 had something to do with it, so naturally it has more than a fair shot of doing pretty goddamn well. Also, Greta Lee is in this in a supporting role. I adore Greta Lee after seeing Past Lives, another A24 movie. And Greta Lee, not only is she funny, not only is she witty, but God, she's gorgeous. Isabella Rossellini also was the narrator of this particular story. That was kind of nice. And what we get is a nice mix of great visual representation, easy for me to say, of Alejandro, or Ali, applying for jobs and everything. The weird stuff with, how he applies, and it's almost like a weird hellscape to apply for the right job, a job that won't just be taking advantage of you. That's the thing, taking advantage of somebody that's desperate for money. People are kind of dicks about that, but it works. It absolutely works. Problemista, I assume that's how you say it. I don't think it's Problemista. I believe it's Problemista. It's fucking incredible. It's great stuff. And Tilda Swinton, once again, is great because you sort of can understand why she's this way, because she almost feels abandoned by her husband, who is an artist. But all this stuff just balances so well, and the chemistry between Julio and Tilda is great. This may be the best pairing of people for an awkward but hilarious just series of scenes where just everybody is just really, really on point. This is pitch perfect. I'm not saying it's the most wholly original thing, but Julio Torres helps, shape how some people may see those that are working hard to become U.S. citizens and just working hard to basically live their dreams. That was a nice balance. There's also a bit of emotional stuff to it, especially towards the third act. It's a good balance. It's really good stuff, and it does utilize the weirdness of A24's aesthetic, and it also just really works. It just really, really fucking works. Even if it's a little bit weird in the closing moments as opposed to the non-weird stuff that we get earlier in the whole thing, the cryo sleep and all that. That being said, some nice story depth as far as the characters. I'm going to get into spoilers, though, just so you know. So that's your warning. 3, 2, 1, see it in theaters. Spoilers! So, yeah. That's really all I got to say right there. So, it turns out that basically Bobby, the artist, he was sick, and he froze himself because he wanted to find a cure, and also he wanted to see the future. Now, freezing somebody would take quite a bit of money, and he was a bit of a struggling artist. He has these pictures of eggs, 13 eggs of Bobby Doo, and he was unable to sell them. He did also have some, girls he cheated on her with, including Greta Lee. And look, I'm just saying, Tilda Swinton, no doubt, is an ethereal, attractive woman, but Greta Lee, I mean, you get a chance with a woman like Greta Lee, you take it. Nevertheless, he has this stuff he had this stuff going with his 13 eggs. It becomes Elizabeth's obsession. Also, she hates technology. She's yelling at the tech people, tech support about her cell phone and about her computer and all this stuff. And she has Alejandro as her particular assistant. And he's freelance because he can't get a salary, but he can get cash for offhand jobs, according to this guy working at a paralegal office. And, he was, really, really good stuff by that actor, by the way. I didn't write his name down, but he actually was pretty good. He'd been in a few things. And what's nice is you can see that gradually Elizabeth realizes that sometimes she needs to pull back from stuff and realize that not everybody's out to get her. That sometimes she is the problem. And Alejandro needs to learn not just be patient, but stand up for himself. There's a great scene towards the end with the Hasbro exec, which is just fucking incredible. But Tilda Swinton, when she lays into somebody and just does the stuff, the dream sequence stuff about her kind of being like the Hydra, the dragon, Allie being a guy that, has a sword and armor, the chats with the mother, the roommate situation that Alejandro has to deal with, this weird scene where he ends up cleaning for a guy, and this guy basically hired him to be one of those, basically be the hired a hewer, as Stu Hart would once say. And nothing wrong with that. You sleep with whoever and get down however you want, as long as you're consenting adults. But one of the great scenes was the intro line that I did about walnuts and everything. What is it with walnuts? It's like a restaurant for squirrels. There's so many good lines from Tilda Swinton. She is so fucking incredible in this. I love the job searching and the Craigslist stuff. I don't know why that was so funny to me, but it just was. You could argue that, yes, some of this material is familiar, but Julio understands subtlety and also how to balance that stuff and has a lot of sweetness below it, but also a lot of good stuff to say and a lot of dark stuff to say about how people view those that are, below them, so to speak. I'm not saying that's the case. I'm not saying that's what I think, but, how much everybody who is an immigrant struggles to become a U.S. citizen. And Greta Lee, when I remember first seeing her in Past Lives and thinking, okay, not only was she great in that movie, but she looks good in fucking great in this. I didn't see Greta Lee in more stuff. So during this pitch that he made to Hasbro in a video interview, he ends up pitching some ideas for particular dolls and toys. Well, one of his ideas gets stolen, and he's pissed off, and he's trying to figure out how to get back at them basically for that. How to say, you know, you stole my idea, I have proof. And there's this other assistant, this guy who's this assistant, and he's doing stuff a little bit better. So Alejandro's maybe getting pushed to the side, but Tilda Swinton says she will sponsor him. She absolutely will sponsor him. We see some flashbacks about how Tilda and RZA met, or Riza, or however the hell you say it, Bobby and Elizabeth met. And they seem like they seem like an odd couple, very much an odd couple. But you know, he's going to be frozen into the future for a while, assuming he ever finds a cure. I mean, is his idea just to see the future? Is his idea to escape from her? What the hell's going on here? So Tilda decides, and after this art exhibit actually goes pretty good, and there's this funny part with the gondola ride where they forgot a painting and they have to go back, and she yells at the guy. There was a great scene a little bit earlier where she has to apologize to Greta Lee, who Elizabeth kind of wrote a bit of a hit piece on her because she was, you know, one of the women that her boyfriend slept with. But nevertheless, she did apologize in a handwritten note because it's really hard for her. And there was a great scene with a bank teller talking to Allie about how overcharges and all this stuff and everything, and all this stuff's designed to keep the system to keep the people down. And I thought the part with the cleaning the apartment was a little bit creepy because, I mean, whatever. I don't care how people get down. I just thought, it's almost delving into horror territory. So he is offered a job as a paralegal because he translates the Spanish to this one lady that's trying to, you know, say where her mail should go. The art sale goes well, but Elizabeth decides, you know what, she wants to be with her husband. They paid off some debts, and they're funding his way to basically be sent, you know, be frozen into the future. She decides that she's going to join him. She's going to go into cryo sleep. She's basically going to take her own life, so to speak, just enough so she can go to sleep and come back in the future. Allie's all worried. My God, she left a voice note, but she said, I've written this stuff out. I'm sponsoring you. Your work visa is going to go fine. You're going to be able to stay in this country. And I appreciate everything that you did and stuff like that. And, oh, you should have fixed this filing, you know, this software and stuff like that. Firefox Pro, I think is what it is, or Firepower Pro. But yeah, Elizabeth does that, and Allie basically then, you know, goes full on Elizabeth towards a Hasbro exec saying, you know, I could show this stuff and everything, or you give me a job, and he just rouses off and does. It's a great scene from Julio. And she also helped get him that job, and then he just finished the rest of it. And then you think the movie's going to smash cut the credits. No. 322 years later, everybody in cryo sleep is awake, including Bobby and Elizabeth. And then there's this weird old guy with a cane. And then there's this weird toy that rolls around that serves people. Because it's 322 years later, so it's like 2020. It's like 2400, the year 2400 or something like that, 2440, whatever it is. And Elizabeth is yelling at this one guy, this one waiter that won't serve her. She has not learned anything since being in cryo sleep. And suddenly, this old guy approaches, and it's Allie. And that's after communicating with his mother making some great artistic pieces, a really moving scene. And then he talks to her and says, you know, come on, Elizabeth, let's take care of this. And the filing's done. All this stuff is done. And we smash cut to the end. And there you go. Problemista is over. Great performances by Julio. Tilda Swinton, to me, stole the goddamn show, but Julio was right there for everything. Great balance, great dynamic. Am I going to say the movie's absolutely goddamn perfect? Sure, there are a few issues. Maybe a couple little pacing issues. But it's such minor quibbles. It's really, really good stuff. It gets an A+ for entertainment and for the great acting and for even a little bit of emotional impact. Again, maybe not A24's absolute apex, but it's right below that. Right below and not far. Agree, disagree what I said? Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.